And welcome back to episode 189 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Karl.
Welcome, we are back, and it is getting cold outside, I have to say. I don't know whether it's just me, but
I might have to put a coat on soon.
here in the recording studio, I think I'm going to have to fire up the heater soon. I tell you, it's getting to that stage.
Oh, have you not fired it up yet?
We'll fire up the gaming PC, probably. That'll pump out a lot of heat.
That'll do it, yeah. Well, turn that on, I have to open the window.
Yeah, might put a fan on then at that point. Oh, dear. Well, we are back. We're back for the latest lineup of tech news and stories this week, and it's a bit of a bad week for Apple, I think, isn't it? But we'll come to that in just a minute. We're also going to talk satellites, not your usual satellites, but SpaceX might be in that conversation. We're also going to be talking NASA as well with a bit of aviation. Then we're going to drop to talk about Nvidia, and then the Tech Rat Rumor Mill is back. And, because we've got a new iPhone, we need to talk about the iPhone coming in 2 generations, don't we?
Yeah, no, not next year's, but the year after.
And we've got some Intel news as well alongside that. But I must say to you, I am enjoying and loving the M4 MacBook Pro. It is a beast of a machine. And I have to say to you, it is zippy. Is the only way I can describe it, Absolutely zippy. I know that's probably not the right response, but it just seems fine. I know. I learned today, apparently, they've got brand new displays now that Apple never told us about.
Oh, okay.
So Apple are still using IPS LCD screens in the MacBook Pros. But they call them mini LED. That's what their terminology is.
Right.
And the new, apparently, this is all a little bit above my tech level of screen, but bear with me a second. So the last generation M series MacBook Pros in the screens used what was called a red KSF phosphor film, which allowed the mini LEDs or the backlighting of those LEDs to give you a really wide color view. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Apparently, it's a film. It goes across the screen, part of the build. It's very good. But apparently, it was a better one. And our favourite display rumor guy, display analyst Ross Young, from he's reported that Apple apparently have quietly, no announcement, have introduced quantum dot films into the screens.
I was about to say, that sounds very much like quantum dots you get on the OLEDs from Samsung.
It is indeed. So yes, they have put apparently the quantum dot film on the MacBook Pros and the M4 Pros series. And apparently independent tests have verified that there is a better color gamut, I love that word, and better motion performance as well. So
nice.
Even though I haven't got that nano screen, which, let's be honest, all the stuff on social media showing pictures of the new nano coating is gorgeous.
You wish you had.
I tell you, I wish I'd done it up.
So when you're selling this one on eBay and getting the next one?
No. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. That anti-glare screen, for years it was like you didn't want a matte screen, you wanted a gloss screen. I tell you now, it's so much better. But anyway, I can't complain. It's a brilliant machine. It's super powerful. I've just, given the announcement, well, not the recent announcement, but given the announcement, early in the year that VMware had, or Broadcom VMware had quietly announced that all of the VMware Fusion and Workstation, which is the desktop virtualization products, were now free. And what I mean free is that they moved in their way from the kind of free-to-use version and the Pro version that you used to have to pay a license for.
There was Workstation and Workstation Pro, wasn't there? And same for Fusion and Fusion Pro. Yeah.
And now there's just A and B. Basically, there's Workstation, there's Fusion and Workstation. They're free to download. It's the same Pro version is free to use, even for production apparently, which is weird. I'm guessing they just thought.
What's wrong with Broadcom?
Yeah, there's got to be a reason for it. Anyway, I was running UTM, which is the open source virtualization software on the new Mac. However, the current version of OS X 15. Or Mac OS, excuse me, not OS X 15.2, has a bug with VMs, which they're not going to be able to fix until the next update. So I thought, open source is good, but actually, if this has gone free, I slapped that on there last night, downloaded the latest ARM desktop build. And I also, given yesterday's news, Microsoft have just released direct link for the ARM Windows 11 build, haven't they? You don't have to jump through hoops anymore for it. You can now go get it. I might put those on there, Why not?
Nice. Yeah.
So take a quick update. Boot camp is never coming back, is it? Let's be honest. Boot camp is dead.
No. Yeah.
It was good.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. So with that, then let us jump straight into the first story of the week, then, which is
the witch hunt.
The witch. Yeah. Do you know what? I think that's a damn good way to do it. talking before we get into this story, did you see though in the UK news that which the consumer group
Oh
are
yes,
looking, well, not then directly, but there's a class action lawsuit going against Apple now, isn't there, around iCloud?
yes. Oh, this is the one where because Apple don't give you any other option. Well, they do, but yeah, you have to use iCloud, or they allege you have to use iCloud to back up all your photos and contacts and all that kind of stuff, don't they?
Yeah,
Well, you can just plug in the computer and use iTunes and back it up absolutely fine, or you could use OneDrive, or I mean, for all your photos and stuff like that. It's a bit of a tenuous lawsuit, I think.
well, this in the fact they saying that they lock you into it. Well, no, they don't. You don't have to use iCloud, and also iCloud gives you 5 gig free, doesn't it?
We could all argue that isn't enough,
No,
but
but
it
if
does
you
give you some
but if,
free.
but if you're just backing up contacts and those basic data,
Yeah.
you're not going to run into massive mainly problems. And
No.
and and if you look at Google, don't they do a very similar thing with the Google subscription service? Isn't it? I don't know if it's called. It used to be called Google One, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually Google, Android, Google have a backup service built in, don't
Yeah,
they? It gives you a certain amount of free. I suppose you could argue it's probably easier on Android to use another solution, but it's just a different platform.
I know. It's just again, I really tend to think, and that kind of leads us nicely into this latest witch hunt by the EU, all again fueled by the DMA, the Digital
Yeah.
Markets Act, isn't it? Around there. So now the EU is looking at whether Apple, or not particularly well, Apple, and this is specifically around the iPads, isn't it?
Yes.
Offers, and I quote, sufficient interoperability with third-party headphones and smart pens.
Or third-party accessories, but they've highlighted
Well, yes,
that
highlighted those two items particularly, but
because
yes,
obviously Apple have made progress on the web browsers and app stores, and that stuff's all going through. But yeah, they've not done anything on the third-party accessories, have they? But yeah, headphones and smart pens are an odd choice to highlight.
I'm sorry, what a load of tosh.
Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, every Bluetooth headphone works with the iPad.
It does, yeah.
And I think you can take your AirPods and just pair them with pretty much anything that supports Bluetooth, unless I miss something on the AirPods.
Oh yeah, but you don't get the same as the third party experience.
No, you don't get the like if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you get that kind of stick experience, and you get that well, the AirPods automatically connect and switching and stuff like that, don't you? But it doesn't stop you from using your headphones. I'm a little confused by this one. It's not a great point for them, is it, to try and stick it to Apple on?
No, I think it's ridiculous. So I've got an iPad and I use I use my Sony's I'm wearing now, the XM4s. I use them 99% of the time with the iPad. Occasionally I use my AirPods, but 99% of the time I'm using these Bluetooth headset and it works absolutely fine.
Yep, and obviously I don't have a Mac, but I have an iPad and I have an iPhone, and I use I've got some Sennheiser ones. I've got some OpenShot Pros, all Bluetooth. I can't say that the 10 seconds it took me to pair it in Bluetooth mode, like you do with every other Bluetooth device, really inconvenienced me.
No,
I can switch between multiple devices, like my PC, Windows PC, and my iPhone on the Bluetooth headset, and have no issues whatsoever.
And the same with the pens, right? So you can buy the Apple Pencil, which costs a lot of money. Yet, blah blah. We get that, absolutely get that. But you can also buy from other third parties. I'll take one off the top of my head: the Logitech Crayon for iPad. Right?
Yeah.
Works perfectly well. Gives you all of the same capability. Yes, it's not going to have some of the same exact feature sets because at the end of the day, Apple want you to buy their product, don't they?
A lot of the more advanced features are tied to the display technology in use. That's why we have a Pen 1 and a Pen 2, and they only work on certain iPads because of the touch and digitizer technology under the screen. I mean, you can't go and buy a Wacom tablet and use your Apple Pencil with it.
No.
And they've been around for, like, I would say they're the dominant player in tablet technology, as in graphics tablets. But where's the EU making them, forcing them to allow Apple Pencil to work with their Wacom tablets or any other whatever?
This is the most ridiculous thing in the world. It's a bit like saying to, I don't know, a car manufacturer, isn't it? We've said this before. It's like car manufacturers being told, right, BMW, you need to make sure that every component from Peugeot fits your car.
Yeah, because they're cars after all. They're all generic.
Yeah, so you need to make sure the wheels exactly fit. You need to make sure that the seats, the equipment inside, the same parts, everything exactly that fits a Peugeot needs to make sure it fits a BMW. Oh, and
And it gives you
VW,
first class experience as well, the same as
yeah,
what the BMW seat does.
yeah, or Boeing. I'm afraid Boeing. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid you need to make sure that if the part doesn't work, we can go to Airbus and we can ask them for their parts, and they're going to fit your plane too. I
Or
know it's
my
a
mate
stupid.
in his backyard who fancies to go and putting wings on things.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it is a third party after all.
And didn't we have that recently with the engines though?
Quite possibly.
But look, I'm sorry, right? I know that's a really stupid and simple analogy, but the point is the same. Why? This is the whole point. This is capitalism. This is consumer choice. You
And,
should be
and
able to
Apple are
buy what
not
you.
the only gatekeepers that the DMA specifies as a gatekeeper. So why aren't they
No,
going after anyone else other than Apple?
actually, no, I'll tell you what. I've had it. I want to buy a Samsung phone with the Samsung tablet stylus, sorry,
Yeah.
and I want to be able to use that on my iPhone 16.
It's gone
Excuse
beyond
me,
crazy now.
hello, EU. Is that the EU? Yes, I'll put a DMA complaint in, please. My Samsung pen here doesn't want to work on my iPhone. Can you fix it, please?
Yeah. Or my Apple Pencil doesn't work with my Samsung device. So go
Exactly,
speak to
my new.
Samsung. Make
Yeah,
them make it work.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and while you're at it, I want to run Mac OS on my new Dell laptop.
Yeah.
It's just bonkers.
Yeah,
It's bonkers.
it's gone crazy now.
It has gone crazy, and it's just here like whether I can't see why Apple would go out their way to then basically rewrite the software to ensure that every single Bluetooth accessory or connectivity accessory works in the same way, because that takes away the
Or takes away all.
uniqueness.
Basically, what they're saying is Apple would like to carry on ploughing money into R&D, come up with all this cool stuff, but then you've got to open source it and give it to everyone for free.
Yeah, it just is the most ludicrous statement. I mean, I don't disagree. We've talked about at length before about the DMA. Some of the points are fair. Okay, I get it. Some of them, when we look at it logically, there are some elements where, you know what? Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? There's
Yeah.
some of the things they're saying about gatekeeping, being access. Let's look at the default browsers, that kind of stuff. All right, get it
Sure,
all, yeah.
I get that.
But this just feels like a vendetta, an
Yeah.
absolute vendetta. I mean, and more so, the point is that now, there are several investigations ongoing. We know the Apple one, obviously, but it's likely, isn't it now, according to Bloomberg, that Apple are going to be the first company fined under the DMA.
Yeah. This is to do with the old App Store stuff rules, isn't it? Allowing developers to kind of inform users alternate purchase routes.
Which we kind of saw this one coming a little bit.
we did. I think Apple decided to screw them over. Apple, I think, actually complying with the letter of the law. It's not necessarily the spirit.
Yeah, but why should that be then? But
why should that be Apple's fault? They didn't
exactly
craft the laws correctly. But you're right. So basically, this is about allowing people, app developers, to say you can buy this elsewhere. Okay, and there are multiple different ways of doing this, aren't they? So you can point users to a different way to pay outside of the App Store, such as Spotify. Spotify does that. You can't sign up on your Apple device. You have to go and go to Spotify's website or their desktop app and sign up for a subscription that way. You can use a different payment processor. Don't have to use the Apple one anymore in the EU. And you can use a completely different app store. But those last two, I think, is where the EU are slightly pissed. Because you can do that, but Apple still want their cut of the money. And I think rightly so they want a cut of the money. They are not necessarily in the third-party app store, but with a different payment processor. They're still hosting and providing all that stuff. And they're also providing a way for users to run the apps on. I think they deserve a cut of that. Whether they deserve as much as they're asking for, I'm probably going to say no on that one. But that's kind of a different discussion.
But this is where Apple, didn't it, pivoted a few years ago to the services business model, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where they were looking to make more money out of it. And now, obviously, that every government under the sun is like, you know what, actually, our coffers are looking a little thin right now. Apple, you're good for it, But not just Apple, obviously,
this is
but
no different to any other platform.
Nope.
The Xbox, the PlayStation, Salesforce. You can create apps for that, but Salesforce want to cut of that as well. You know what I mean? It's everyone. If you built the platform, I think you're entitled to a fee for people just using it, but making money off you.
Yeah, because you are then just becoming a stepping stone, aren't you, for them?
You're providing all these services for free at that point.
Yeah, I I do feel, and Apple particularly because of their size are a huge target. But
Yeah,
it just feels at the moment that we are living in a world where the bigger you get, the more successful you get, the more we have to rein you in.
yeah.
And there are some elements, not just Apple, but other companies absolutely agree. There are some areas where that kind of power gives you it gets size. Sorry, gives you a lot of power, doesn't it? And doesn't necessarily mean that that power is being used for the right reasons. So there are definitely guardrails need to be put in place. But when it comes for like making money, it's just like capitalism. This is we live in a capitalist society. The whole point of these companies is to make money for their shareholders and therefore be successful. But it feels like the bigger they get, the more money. It's like, well, we just need to rinse you more.
But the thing that always gets me at the end of the day here is no one is forcing you to buy
No,
an iPhone.
no, it is entirely
You know
choice.
what you're getting in the Apple ecosystem. They're not hiding this. They are very clear of how this works, and they've been around long enough now that you just know how an Apple device works. If you don't like that, buy a different device.
Well, that's the point, and that comes back, I think, to that first point we were talking about, where in the UK, where which the consumer groups are
Yeah.
complaining about iCloud. iCloud didn't turn up yesterday.
Nope. No. Oh, and while the cost of iCloud, I would argue, is probably a bit more than it should be for the amount of storage, it's not
Well, actually, I disagree. Right,
overpriced.
99p for 50 gig now a month.
Okay, let's come down a bit then.
The
They
entry
do the
level.
whole ladder thing though, because I only really want 1 terabyte, but I have to buy two.
So in the UK, right,
Yeah,
the cheapest iCloud pricing is 99 pence a month for it gives you 50 gig of storage.
yeah.
That's not iCloud One with all of it, Apple One with all of its fancy bells and whistles. But for storage, 99p a month gives you 50 gig. I think it's 99 cents as well in the US. That's 50 gig of storage that can be used across all of your capabilities, plus gives you iCloud Private Relay, Hide My Email, and the HomeKit Secure Video if you're playing with that. Um, and of course, it allows you to do all the stuff around sharing. And if you've got a family, that's other
Yeah.
devices. Yeah. Now, I absolutely agree with you. That's a 50 gig. It depends on your files. Now, I mean, I've got 19,000 pictures in my iCloud library, so 50 gig is not cutting it. But I'm sorry, a lot of people I appreciate that's still £1 a month, but that's £12 a year. I imagine a lot of people who are complaining spend a lot more going out and buying a Starbucks, Costa, whatever,
Yeah.
into your brand of coffee, how many times a week, that it costs far more than that.
And you
I
just
just
bought an
think,
expensive phone.
yeah, or, yeah, more to the point, you've got in your pocket £1,000 phone, effectively,
Yeah.
right? So, however you're paying for that, I think you need to take a better look at it. And I just absolutely think that the economics of complaining about the lock-in tiers are wrong because it doesn't work like that. And there are third-party options that you can use to go ahead and back it up. And yeah, I'm getting angry because, like, to your point, is nobody asked you to buy an iPhone.
They're not the only option that you can buy in any market, as far as I'm aware.
No,
There are some
no.
markets Apple doesn't even deal in. But yeah, I don't know. It's like you're buying a Ferrari, then knowing how much it costs to run, but you just spent 200-300 grand on a Ferrari.
Yeah,
Surely you knew that. Everyone will tell you a Ferrari is an expensive car to run. It has blah blah blah. You have to pay for every month, year, etc. in servicing. But there are other cars available, so if you can't afford that, buy a different car.
yeah, exactly. I hear that TCL sell a good line of cheap phones. Go get one of them.
It kind of comes across as entitlement.
Yeah, yeah, but that's not a high end phone. Well, that's not my problem. It still makes phone calls. It still accesses the internet. You still can send messages on it. It still leverages the Android ecosystem. Pretty much like 85% of the apps are still there. What's your problem?
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's a really. I just feel, particularly for Apple, that a lot of this is a vendetta and witch hunt. They're not perfect, absolutely not perfect, and
There are many
I'm not
things we
going to.
all wish they did differently.
Yeah, but I
But
just
hell,
think that
yeah.
they've got a target painted on their back, and the EU see it as easy money.
Yeah, we don't know how much that money is going to be at the moment because the EU has not specified what the actual
No,
fine is going to be, but it could be up to 10% of the global annual turnover.
which, given that Apple is in billions and
Yeah,
billions, well, hundreds of billions, isn't it? Their global annual turnover.
yeah, yeah. Just
Oh my god! Because actually, just for the record, what are we on at the minute? Apple is current share price as of recording right now, $228 with a market cap of 3.5 trillion. Whoa! Nvidia currently 3.6 trillion.
mm,
Wow, crazy times, crazy
yes.
times. Because that lawsuit that which are filing against Apple um, could mean that 40 million UK iPhone or iOS users would get £70 apparently.
But other than the monetary value, what are they expecting to get out of this?
They're basically saying, so the lawsuit basically says that it's breached UK competition law by giving iCloud storage preferential treatment and trapping your devices into using it. And they overcharge those customers by stifling compensation.
You didn't trap them into it. You didn't buy the Apple iPhone when it didn't have iCloud, and now they're forcing you to use it for some reason. It's always
No.
been there.
And it doesn't allow you to back up or store all of their phone's data with a third party provider.
You can. You plug it into your PC, and you are the third-party provider.
Well, they according to Apple's response is it's wrong on the facts and the law.
Yeah, it is. You say you plug it into your PC, Windows or Apple, and you can use iTunes or whatever the equivalent is nowadays to back it up locally. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not as easy, but it's not. There's no cost involved with that.
no, you are not locked into it. I'm sorry. It just it is a misconception if you think you're locked into it.
It's just smashed for someone else that doesn't understand the technology like the EU.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Before we get too annoyed. Oh, the National Reconnaissance Office, or the NRO in the US, apparently they're going to be spying on everyone now. I mean, they were
anyway.
before, but they're going to be
just
better
gonna
at
say,
spying
well,
on everyone. So, yeah, they're now going to leverage SpaceX, aren't they, to develop a network of at least 100 spy satellites, kind of enhancing their global surveillance.
Well, they've already got a few. They've already got 80 of them in space already.
Yeah, but those are a lot bigger ones, aren't they? A lot
Yeah.
costlier ones. They want to kind of do many more cheaper ones that can be easily replaced and upgraded, but give them more visibility. But yeah,
And this is based off. This is based off SpaceX's Starlink satellite technology, isn't it?
yeah,
So, at the moment, SpaceX are churning the Starlink satellites out at 10 a penny. Very small, aren't they? I think about the size of a toaster, aren't they? Not very big at all.
yeah.
And they are putting up their thousands of them. We talked about the other week, and the NRO obviously saw that was a good idea, didn't they? Like, this is an easy way.
Loving it.
Given, let's be honest, how are we going to know if that next Starlink launch,
Yeah,
that has got, I don't know, 50 Starlink satellites, who's to say that actually 10% of those are the NRO satellites?
I mean, who's to say they aren't the same thing?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's what I was thinking. That is what I was
we
thinking.
provide internet and we snoop on your internet, and we've got some great big cameras on there, so we see exactly where you're going.
Yeah, or sat within that constellation of 44,000 or whatever they want to get there in the end, 10% of them inside there are the NRO satellites. This is quite interesting. Apparently, Space Force, US Space Force, apparently has also said that they're interested in looking at using SpaceX Starlink capabilities, not necessarily Starlink, I should add, but the same technology for broadband connectivity for their forces as well.
Yeah,
I mean, look how the Ukraine's doing it. We've seen the Ukraine already leveraging this very well, and also SpaceX are putting, how many launch? I think the other day they did 2 launches in the same day within a space of an hour of each other of different capabilities.
blimey.
It's amazing. They're putting the government to shame in that sense, aren't they, from a launch perspective?
just a tad. How's
So
the
these,
old? What's the latest one called? The NASA one, Artemis? No, that's the moon landing one, isn't it?
which one do you want about? The one that's up in what?
The one they've moved out but doesn't actually work.
Oh, I think that is Artemis, isn't it?
Yeah, the big old rocket.
Orion.
Yeah, not going very well at the moment, is it?
Well, not really. No, I mean we haven't
Well,
really
it's
seen
not
much
going
from it, have
anywhere.
we? Well, no, it's not at all, is it? Um, and given also that the Lockheed Starliner debacle that we had recently, obviously, that
Yep.
coming back down to Earth, and we've still got the two astronauts up there, haven't we? That
Oh
won't be
god,
coming
when
back
they due
down
down? January.
February, yeah, February time, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, because we've only had one Artemis launch, haven't we? That the capsule launched. We've had one launch of SLS, and
Oh,
we
SLS.
had
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
yeah, we've had one launch of SLS, and we've got this capsule went around the moon, didn't it? It went up to the moon,
Oh
and
yeah.
then came back and then landed. I think so, and that was completely unmanned. And that was what 2 years ago, wasn't it? I think got to be in it.
Yeah.
We've had nothing since.
Nope. Nope. Oh no, SpaceX is chucking stuff up every other day.
What's I mean? They're like twice a day at this point. It's like going up, going up, going up. It's like
Yeah, they got some catching up to do. Or I don't know. I don't know what the answer is with NASA at the moment. They're not making any progress anywhere.
The satellite technology has moved on massively. It's not the days before where satellites were the size of a car.
No, exactly.
And the camera technology on them was also good. Let's be honest, those keyhole satellites that the CIA launched early days with the Air Force in the sort of 60s now, the Corona ones, by today's standards obviously aren't as good, but actually what the capability of them back then was amazing, and people didn't realize that for a very long time. What we see now, obviously, though, is the kind of technology that we have today, be able to zoom in. Not I'm not talking. What was that film with Will Smith? The one where they.
Oh god, and
You
Gene
know the one
Hackman
about
in it
Enemy
as
of
well,
the
didn't
People,
it?
Enemy of the State. Where it
Enemy
can
of the
zoom
State,
straight
yeah.
in. I mean, we're not far off that, to be honest.
Enhance, rotate.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're not far off that kind of capability, but you don't need a satellite the size of ton in weight and going along. They can be a lot smaller. Technology is far more, and the connectivity of those satellites as well, given that they can leverage that interspace connectivity that Starlink use now, or
Yep.
similar technologies, to talk between themselves. Again, is pretty cool. So yeah, look, this is great work, for everybody. Probably not though if you're being spied on by the NRO,
No.
but
I'd love to have a go on it though. It's like real time Google Earth.
Yeah, if you're being spied on by the NRO, I'd argue
Not
there's
quite.
probably other things going on that we don't really want to talk about. Like,
Yes. So
why does there appear to be a satellite constellation right over North Korea right now?
Exactly. So we did just mention NASA actually, and they have a new craft, don't they?
They do.
This is the X-59, not to be confused with the X-37 spy aircraft. But this is their new what are we calling this? The words now just elude me.
The quiet supersonic.
Supersonic. That's what I was after.
Technology.
Yeah.
It's called Quest, isn't it? It's Quest. A quiet supersonic technology.
Yeah, it's the new supersonic demonstrator is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
The idea being to try and get consumer or crafts that can go faster than the speed of sound, but without that kind of giant sonic boom. To quiet that down and let them to go back over land again. So they built this X-59, haven't they? Which now has a sonic thump rather than a sonic boom.
Yeah. So this is really all part of the reason why Concorde originally was never allowed to fly over the US, wasn't it? Back in the sort of, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, because of that sonic boom, which obviously would have broken your finest china.
Yes.
But we've got. I mean, this is a sister aircraft in some respects to Boom Aerospace's XB-1, which is currently far remember. Which I think is it now the fastest getting close? It's not yet, but it's nearly the fastest commercial aircraft, isn't it, out there at the moment?
I think so.
I think they're as fast as a 737. I think they're nearly as fast as larger commercial aircraft like 747 or A350s. And I think then they've got one more flight after that where, if it goes well, they'll be faster than the private jets that are out there.
Nice, yeah. So and NASA are trying to bring this noise down up to what they call giant noise no more than 75 perceived loudness decibels, akin to kind of a sound of a car door slamming across the street. So yeah, it's not very loud, is it? I think Concorde was over 100 decibels, wasn't it? So they are aiming to get to a cruising speed of Mach 1.4, so just over 1,000 miles an hour at an altitude of 55,000 feet, so quite high up there.
That's for the testing, yeah. Because Concorde did fly at Mach 2,
Yes,
so it was a lot faster. And I'm guessing, this is only a demonstrator. This is trying to prove the technology. And an interesting fact about the aircraft, it's quite got a very long nose, very thin, dart-like nose,
it has.
with the cockpit faced high. And the pilot cannot see out of the cockpit directly, can they? So they
Sounds
have
like
this new.
Dark Star.
It does. They
Oh,
can't see
Top
out of
Gun.
the cockpit directly. They've got this. What they call the external vision system, which allows the pilot to see what's in the front of the aircraft they can. So you're right, it's definitely Dark Star, isn't
Definitely
it?
Dark Star. What I found interesting though, it's got a modified F-18 Super Hornet engine in it.
It has, isn't it? The F414 G100 engine.
Yeah.
And it also has got landing gear for an F-16.
Oh, has it? So it's a hodgepodge going on here then.
Yeah. But between them, this X-59 and the XV-1, we're starting to see a return to supersonic flight, which is, on a commercial aspect, I will say, civilian flight rather than military. Military are flying around all over the place, supersonic.
Oh yeah, they've all got supersonic.
But this would be good, and I think if we can get to a stage where we can bring back supersonic flight, then why not?
I'd love to go. I never got to go on Concorde.
No, it was eluded us all. I feel
It
at
did.
a certain age.
But maybe in the future, we might be able to jump on and be in New York in a couple of hours.
Yeah, why not? That was the thing, wasn't it? Back in the old days, you
Pop to New
businessmen
York
of a certain
for
time.
lunch.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, they did, didn't they? They fly over to do a day's work in New York, be back for dinner time.
Crazy.
Yeah, because you'd arrive before you left.
Well, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, the mind boggles that we've taken a massive step backwards there.
It does, and I think technology sometimes feels that we are going backwards. We make innovation and we drive forward, but with that innovation,
then we regulate it,
comes...
and it all goes back.
Yeah, you're right. But that's such is life. Such is life. Well, moving on slightly, then let's talk about Nvidia, and I'm not talking about their share price.
That's obscene.
Let's go back to their original kind of what we know and love them for, which is gaming, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And have you used GeForce Now? Because I think I did early doors when it first came out, but I haven't really played with it since.
No, yeah, I say, early doors just to see what it was all about. But then I was like, I want a monthly charge, and I got to bring my own games, and it just sounded a bit crazy to me. So I went back to playing locally games.
Yeah, so GeForce Now is their technology, isn't it, where you can stream PC games, either games you own, isn't it, or games that you can buy through the service. I understand is that I think is the way to do it.
I'm not sure on that one, but
yeah,
definitely ones that you already own. You can load up Steam and a couple of other clients, can't you, in there?
That's right, yeah. So, but it's going. They're going to be adding some charges in, aren't they, on using the service itself? So it's going to be free to use, but there's a caveat on that: free to use, only for 100 hours a month, and then after that, you're going to have to start to pay to use it.
Well, that also applies to people who are currently paying to use it.
Yes, sorry, my bad. Yes, you're right, because they're already currently subscribers on the service. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah. So there is a 100-hour limit, whatever. Whether you're paying for I can't remember what their tiers are called, premium, ultra, etc. Whether you're paying whatever money you're paying a month, you're going to have that limit of 100 hours. So new users starting from January 2025, existing users, you got a bit of a year and a bit, January 2026 before this limit comes into effect. But yeah, if you go over your 100 hours a month, you're going to be charged $6 for an additional 15 hours at the ultimate tier, or $3 for an extra 15 hours at the priority tier. So yeah, you have free, priority, and ultra. Ultimate, that was the one.
But Nvidia reckon that this 100-hour cap actually won't affect many users. So they're saying that they reckon about 94% of their current user base falls inside this 100 hours a month.
So why put it on then?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
It's not like Nvidia are hurting for money being the richest company in the world right now.
Not anymore, no.
No, it just seems that if it won't affect 94% of the users, why implement it? I can't see it. And
yeah,
I mean, 100 hours sounds like a lot, but it's only 3 hours a day. If you sign up to Netflix and were told you could only watch 3 hours a day, you wouldn't sign up, would you?
Well, I guess it depends. I think if you were told you're getting the cheapest plan possible and you're paying a smaller rate, I guess.
But it's
some
not.
People, that'd be fun.
Their ultimate plan has the same 100-hour cap, and that's a top tier one.
Yeah, but not everybody watches Netflix every day. So you could argue that one day you could watch 6 hours, then you might not watch anything for about 3 or 4 days.
Let's say Sky. You signed up to Sky. or
Okay,
Virgin
all right,
are
I'll
3
go with
hours a
that one.
day.
Yeah,
You'd be like, what? Sorry.
I was just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I'm just if it's only going to affect 6% of the users, why put it in? I can't understand. I don't think it's a cheap subscription for Ultimate
No,
Tier.
they've also made some changes to their current band plan, the bands or plans, however you want to say that as well, isn't it? So they've got the top end, which is the ultimate tier, but then they've got
Yeah,
the performance tier below that, which is now going to offer the ability to leverage ultra wide resolutions that start. What do they offer? Was it 2050, 2560 times 1440p, as well as those ultra wide. But originally, you had to buy the ultimate tier before
yeah,
you'd get some of these settings as well, and also ability to customize your graphic settings as well, isn't it? Across different sessions.
yep.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't use it.
No, no.
It's not something I'm not really sure how good it is. I know of it, clearly, but it's not something I've ever had the need to go with. So I'll be interested to know whether how many people this is going to affect, um,
Yeah, it
and
would
in
be
what way.
interesting.
Yeah, but there we
We'll
go.
see.
Well, probably a good place for us to. So, whilst Apple are grappling with the obviously being fined potentially or potential fines from the DMA, they're pushing on with R&D, aren't they? According to our favourite analyst, Amit Quo.
Yep.
And this is around the camera upgrade for the iPhone 18. So that's not next year's iPhone. That's the
Not
year
17.
after. So 2026, isn't it?
Well, it was meant to be the 17, but that's apparently being pushed back to the 18 for some unspecified reason.
So what we're going to get then? We're going to get apparently a rear camera upgrade with a variable aperture lens. Oh, that's
Yeah,
quite
so this
interesting.
will allow you to, I suppose, the camera to adjust the aperture to get more light in or less light, depending on what the situation requires.
What do you think? I mean,
Well, I'm
the
not going to
moment you,
say no. Anything to get some better photos, but
well, as I say, the iPhone has become, or I'll rephrase that for the sake of the DMA. Smartphone cameras have become ubiquitous, haven't they? Most people take
other
pictures
cameras and
now.
smart things are available.
Exactly. And not all of them allow you to modify or the aperture because just the technology isn't there, is it, easily to build in?
No, they're all
So
generally fixed aperture lenses, aren't they?
yeah, and obviously the way they get away with it now is multiple cameras, isn't it? And then computational
Photography.
overlaying of those photography, yeah, to overlay the images. So I'm up for that. I mean, if it be like
Yeah.
you say, if it allow you to give you great pictures, particularly low light isn't a problem on an iPhone. Let's be honest. But if anything you can do to improve
Well,
it,
I mean, it could
depth of
make it
field
quicker.
maybe.
People, low light ones come out great, but you have to hold the camera still for quite a while, don't you? In some situations, which people don't understand. If we can negate that or reduce that with a variable aperture lens, then that's a win-win.
Yeah, and be honest with you, seeing some of the pictures that some of the pro photographers take with iPhones, I mean, this could be quite impressive, couldn't it?
It could be, yeah. There's some stunning ones. Well, my photos don't look anything like that.
No, no, not at all, not at all. So this could be then. So rumor is from Miki Quo. This is looking then 2026 and a higher end iPhone. So guessing the Pro Max or whatever the equivalent is in 2026. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
up for that.
should be
Yeah,
good.
awesome, awesome. So what else is Quo reckoning then
Well,
this week?
also in 2026, he is saying that Apple are going to enter the smart home camera market, producing their first IP, CCTV camera, whatever you want to call it, security camera. Yeah, not much information is known about this at the moment. Apparently, it's going to offer a deep integration with Siri and Apple Intelligence. If I need Siri with my camera, I don't know.
If
Apple
it works.
Intelligence, maybe it can identify objects. But current cameras can already do that, but will it do it better? Yeah, it's unclear what the kind of USP is going to be for the Apple products, other than it's Apple first party. But interesting play. I wouldn't have expected Apple to appear that to be kind of their first smart home product.
This is interesting because this is off the back of the rumor by Mark Gurman, wasn't it, about the new sort of iPad smart device, isn't it,
Yes,
for the home?
the HomePad.
Oh, that was the word I was
The
thinking of. Yeah,
HomePad. So basically, it's a 6-inch square display, isn't it? It's like two iPhones stacked on top of each other.
yeah,
So
and
not
this
iPad 16 by 9 or whatever the iPad is at the moment, but yeah, a more squarish display sitting on top of what looks like a. I've seen different takes on this. Is it that 6-inch square one sitting on top of a HomePod, or is it a 6-inch wall mountable display?
Yeah, there are a few different renders out there, but if this is like running Home OS, and this makes sense. If Apple want to bring a home device to market, they'll want some accessories to go with it, won't they? So
They
I
will,
like the
and
look
they've
of this.
already got what do they call their CCTV stuff? A secure something, right? Secure video.
Yeah, the HomeKit secure video that we talked
That's
about
the
in
one.
the iCloud storage. Remember, it comes in 99 cents a month. Gives you
Yeah,
50
yeah.
gig.
God,
Probably
can't
not
be
enough,
firing
but
all
yeah,
my. I can't afford to fire all my CCTV cameras footage into iCloud.
not that prices, no.
Not the prices of storage on the Mac Minis either.
Oh no, and you're locked into it now as well. So, oh god, you better get on that court case.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, I'll be interested to see. I bet the image quality will probably be quite amazing. I mean,
I
just
think it
maybe
would be.
taking the camera out of an iPhone and slapping that in a housing give you a pretty damn good image. But at
Yeah,
what cost?
if you can use that center stage technology to focus on things and track it,
Mm.
that's going to be quite clever. So look, I'm interested to see what this comes like. It probably be absolutely phenomenally expensive, as
Yeah.
all things, but yeah,
What are we
definitely
betting?
interested to
500
see
quid a camera at least?
at least and the change.
Yes.
But no, I am interested to see what comes out of this, and whether also the home device as well, because I think I would be in the target market for buying one of those home devices.
Maybe, maybe not. I'm
Because
unsure.
don't forget, I think it's going to have Mattress and Thread support.
Yeah, but I suppose this depends where you are in your journey of home automation. If you have a lot of legacy devices that aren't HomeKit, and quite a lot are not HomeKit or aren't Matter and
No,
Fred
no,
yet,
true.
then how do you get those into the environment? Me and you
Well, that's
could
not my
do.
problem. Take my money and be quiet.
Me and you could do because we're more technically inclined. I'm sure we could use Homebridge spun up in an Elixir or a docking container and do that and present them to Apple as HomeKit compatible devices. But your average consumer, no.
Yeah, true, true. But Apple doesn't worry about that because Apple's hoping you're going to buy
You'll just buy
in.
all new devices, yeah.
That's it. That's what they're hoping. Yeah, you're going to go for feet first into it, aren't you?
50 quid a light bulb and
Yeah, go for it.
etc.
Go for
etc.
it. And then then the EU will come crashing down as well because why not?
Oh, that'll be in it. Anyway, moving on.
So
Intel.
to finish off
Yeah.
today, then Intel. So see, I got this story. I've got two minds on this. So it is rumored then that this coming December we are going to see the latest Intel Battle Age GPUs. Apparently, are going to be dropping.
Well, let's hope this goes better than the last couple of generations of CPUs. So we have the 14th gen that die regularly, and then the new gen, what are we called? Can't remember what they're called now, the new ones, which aren't better than the 14th gen performance wise, but they do take a little less power.
I personally thinking, given Intel's current situation, I don't think okay. This is just my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't think the GPU part of the business is long for this world.
No, so they are saying the Battle Mage will apparently match the performance of an RTX 4070. So we're not going for the top of the range 80, 90, etc. And we're certainly not going to match the new 5000 series that are allegedly coming or being announced in January. So, but still, a 4070 performance would be quite impressive from Intel at this point. But
Yeah,
at what price? Cheaper than the 4070. Oh, might have an interest there, but I'm not sure Intel can get that going as cheap as a 4070.
No, I don't think they can.
And I think it's going to be on par with it. And at that point, who's going to choose Intel? No one.
Given the current state of affairs with Intel, who's going to want to choose Intel?
No. If you're giving me a 4070 performance for 200 quid, then you know what? I might
much.
buy one.
Two. Thank you very much.
Exactly. I might buy a couple of those, even knowing the fact that they might not be supported in a year or so. But
that doesn't matter. I don't care.
Doesn't matter. But 600 or 700 quid or more, I'm not sure what a 4070 costs nowadays. No.
I do worry. I think for all of the hype and what we wanted from
they've taken
Intel,
too long. They've taken too long.
Yeah, they have. They have.
Because when did we first get Alchemist? 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, we've been talking about this since the early days, haven't we?
I mean, I do in fact actually have an Intel Arc CPU, a GPU, I should say, sitting on one of my servers. I've not done anything with it yet. My plan was to use it as a Plex encoder because it supports AV1 and Intel. They're exceptional with the media transcode stuff and use very little power. I put it in the server. I've gone no further because that means I have to rebuild my Plex server, which is no small task.
No, not at all. So I think they're doing well. They're getting out here. If the performance, and I state if again, the performance is close to a 4070 or enough to be like actually this is a good graphics card,
4070 start £500 now.
That's great. But Intel and AMD are about to up the mark in January and drop in.
But then
higher...
AMD did actually say a couple of weeks back that they're not really concentrating on the high-end market anymore for GPUs. CPU, they're smashing Intel. But GPUs, no, they're aiming for mid-market bang for buck.
Yeah, and they're doing it really well.
Yes.
They're doing it really, really well.
But that does worry me for what the price of these new 5000 series are going to be from Nvidia. Because if they know AMD aren't playing in the market, this is Nvidia, they're going to go cha-ching, and that's going to be a bit pricey.
Yeah, you're right. But, I think it's a shame because we wanted more from Intel.
Yeah, but I think I was hoping for a true third contender.
But the current business situation is so poor.
I think the word is dire.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, given that the rumours that that the US government prior to the election, I might add, were talking about or suggesting in some conversations that Intel should look at merging, shouldn't they?
Well, it would still be right up Trump's street, wouldn't it? It's make America great again, bring manufacturing in country. So Intel should be its top priority from a technology point of view.
But are they going to be prepared to bail them out?
Yeah. Who knows? Something did make me laugh. Did you see who the leaker was for this Battle Mage one?
No, I didn't see that.
Golden Pig.
Yes, it is. Golden Pig, yes.
What a name.
Yes,
I don't know if he's credible or not, but what a name.
No. The posting and all these leaks came out of Weibo, didn't they? So the Chinese social media site. But yeah, Golden Pig was a great name, I should say. Yes. Yeah. And these battle mages, by the way, the ones that are coming out next month are desktop equivalents. We should just remind on that, not mobile equivalent. So laptop chips.
Yep.
Well, that's probably a good place for us to wrap up for today then. We'll be back with episode 190 next week. My gosh, as we barrel towards the end of the year, aren't we? We know.
God. It's not long now.
It's not. A little heads up on the show next week. Already we've got FTX. You are not going to believe this story. Apple are also in the news as well. We're going to talk a bit more about the Apple Witch lawsuit that we talked about today, but we'll get into a bit more details next week around what that actually means, what they're arguing about that as well, and a bit more details on that Apple wall tablet that's coming as well, because I didn't want to give it all away today, but we've got a bit more on the story next week. And of course, any of the latest tech news that drops between now and next week. You can still find us on X, though I am contemplating setting up as a Blue Sky account. I think we should. What do you reckon?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's got some popularity in the last couple of weeks, hasn't it?
It has. I've started using it properly now. Cross posting. I really like the retro feel of it, I have to say.
I need to. I've just re-download it. I was one of the beta testers, early ones.
You were, yeah.
But there really wasn't anyone on there, so I kind of ended up abandoning it.
They've added like 1 million users in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I've got the app installed just before the podcast, so I'm gonna have a play tonight and see whether it's got enough content in there to keep me hooked.
Awesome work. And of course, you can find us on YouTube and also wherever you get your podcast to share with your friends. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Thanks very much. I've been Jay.
I've been Karl. Have a good one all.